I remember getting into a car accident and going to the hospital, and the doctor giving me pain medication for my injuries. And as soon as I tried it for the first time, I put everything else aside with alcohol and pot and only wanted that. That's the only thing I wanted. Um, it made me feel like I've never felt before. I didn't know anything about addiction or anything like that. So when I tried it, I wanted more of it. So this when pills really first started coming about, like on the streets, you might meet a couple people and they have them, and you continuously use them, and then you want to use them more, and you want to use them more, and you want to use them more. And it doesn't take long to get addicted to opiates. I mean, it's very quick. Drink or smoke pot is it because you're trying to fit in? Is it because it takes away that anxiety or that pressure? It takes away the way you feel about yourself. I think it's such a hard question to answer, because at that age it's you want to be able to fit in, you want to be able to have friends. I mean, back when I was that age, it was all about who's popular, who's not popular, what group can you fit in with. If you don't smoke pot, you don't think you're cool, and you just want to be accepted. Those are the biggest red flags, I could say. I mean, that was the biggest for me, was getting out of your own skin. And then eventually it just turned into something that you can't turn off. I mean, some of the riskier red flags would be stealing alcohol from your parents, not because you're not old enough to go into a liquor store. Drinking and driving, biggest thing, really. Sometimes I wonder how I'm still alive after some of the things that you do as a kid, because you think you're invincible at that age. Nothing's gonna happen to you. I remember that feeling like you're just invincible. Stealing from family, things that you never would imagine that you would steal. Anything you could get your hands on. From your parents' jewelry to everything you own. I mean, I remember when you're 17, 18 years old, you're big into, video games and that kind of stuff, and you wouldn't even think twice about selling your, the things that you love, the things that you enjoy, because you enjoyed the drugs more. You needed the drugs more. Everything else came second. It always came down to the mental health behaviors, especially with depression and anxiety and nervousness. No matter what substance I ever put in my body, they all took away those feeling anxious. And every drug makes you feel different, but at the end they all do the same. They all make you feel different. And then as you progress, you just basically numb. You don't feel anything anymore. You don't feel anxious, you don't feel depressed, you don't feel happy, you don't feel, you're pretty much emotionless. So it starts off from, it takes away those feelings of, mental health problems, to progressing to where you're just empty, you're emotionless. You don't have anything you feel. You don't feel anything. I would say that using anything. I mean, alcohol, pot, cocaine, opiates. All it is a Band-Aid. It doesn't, you might feel at that time that you're more confident or you're less anxious, you're less nervous, but it's just a Band-Aid. It's only temporary. You know, it won't fix anything. Eventually it's gonna make everything that much worse, and it's not an easy road to recover from. It's a very difficult road. Probably family, bringing it up constantly, seeing your parents cry, begging you to stop. Finally, the day I got clean, because I just couldn't live the way I was living anymore. I mean, some of the red flags would be, you can't stop, no matter what you tell yourself. You know, I'm not going to use them tomorrow, or only use. I mean, the biggest thing for me is justification. Trying to justify to yourself that it's okay that you're using these. In the early days, was the first time I got arrested, so legally, going through the court system at 17 years old. I mean, I always felt shameful of the things that I did to get drugs, or to break in the relationships with people that matter with me. But at that time, none of that did matter to me. I would feel shame, but the drugs would take that shame away. I wouldn't feel shameful anymore until, you know, I needed to get the next high. I mean, in regards to not wanting to use, but using, most of it has to do with physically being dependent. One of the biggest fears for addicts is going through the withdrawals, because you literally feel like you want to die. You want to just lay down on the ground and die. So it's such a fearful feeling to knowing that you might feel that way if you don't have that drug. So that's when your body is chemically dependent. You need it to function. You can't function without it, and that's when you lose the choice. You lose the choice when you morally, physically cannot go without it, and you'll do anything in your power to get it, so you're not sick, so you're not feeling that way. With opiates, it's such a bad withdrawal. So I would get sick in the morning, or if I went a period of time without having them, like nausea, sweating, but I could never connect the dots to that. I just knew that if I was feeling that way, all I had to do was get some more pills and I wouldn't feel that way anymore. So it would go from, you have to have these so you don't feel that way. And it's so quick. I mean, it can happen in a matter of weeks. In the early days, it was pretty much, you know, drinking Friday nights, Saturday nights, going to parties, things like that. As that progressed, I remember like going into like my parents' like liquor cabinets and filling soda bottles with alcohol and drinking during the day, you know, driving around while you're drinking. That was the biggest progression from there. And then smoking pot every day, you know, before school, during school, after school. I mean, all the time, 7 days a week. Sneaking out of the house to go drink or go meet up with friends to smoke pot. those were the biggest early signs, and then as it progressed to harder drugs with pills and opiates and stuff like that, it was just an all day, every day, do what you gotta do to get what you need, never stop from there. I mean, I'd say like health issues, losing weight quickly, not eating